Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So many of us deal with digestion issues, and we're going to talk about, I'm going right for it. That's what we're talking about. No big fancy open, but I can tell you this woman has been amazing in terms of some issues that I had, which I've talked about before. We're going to talk about those types of issues and more. She is a master herbalist. So nice to try a different type of remedy as opposed to just going to the pharmacy and get a prescription or an over-the-counter med. Nothing wrong with those, but sometimes there's other stuff out there. This is what medicine was hundreds of years ago. And she knows it. She's a Native American. She started a company called Oyate Herbals. Tammie Lowell is back with us. Hey, Tammie, how are you?
I'm doing good, Steve. Thanks for having me.
I hear from friends all the time about stomach issues, from bloating, cramping, constipation, then, ulcers and all these different things. You have herbal remedies to address pretty much all of them, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. You name it, especially when it comes to stomach issues. Yeah. I have it, and I have it in different forms. So, of course, we've talked about the different lines I carry, but I have tinctures, I have teas, that can help in both directions, so if you got, stuff going on that, you need to calm it down or get things moving, either way.
Okay. So I didn't know. I'm like, okay. So you said get moving. Let's get moving on that. Let's talk about that for just a moment. Many of us don't have enough fiber in our diet. Some of us take fiber supplements. You can take a spoon of something, put it in water. Psyllium husk, I think it's called, is really what it is. All I can say, I've tried it before. And if you do mix it in the water, drink it right away, because if you wait, it turns into like this cup of gel.
Yeah, it gets very gummy. Yeah. And that's the synthetic form. It's funny that you mentioned the psyllium, because we have talked in the past where I work with a Cherokee man that makes 19 different medicinal teas. Well, he has 2 teas that, like I said, that can directly go either direction. I love the names of his teas because, being Native American, he put some really cool. So this one is called Bear in the Woods. Is that not awesome, or what?
Love it. And by the way, I just want to say that I do gotten from you drink one of his teas, and it's fantastic. It's just for digestion, and it's great. I love it. And here's the thing. I just want to share this, and then I want to get to the Bear in the Woods. So the bottle comes, and I'm like, how long is that thing going to last? And I just bought this tea. How long? It doesn't look like it's going to go that long.
Right?
It does.
Yeah. A little goes a long way. Yeah, you're talking a teaspoon or a tablespoonful is all you're using. It averages, his jars say you get an average of about 20 uses out of it. Excuse me. So I don't know. I think I get more, but I think I think he kind of sways on, the more conservative side of how many's in there, but I'm pretty sure I get more because I drink his tea all the time.
And I bought one of those, I don't know what they're called, but the tea thing where you put the tea in it and you turn it. It's like a ball, and you turn it and it opens up. You put the tea in, you close it up, you put it inside to steep the tea. I use that. So I'm going to guess that's a teaspoon or whatever. I can't
put about a tea. Yeah. Tea, between a teaspoon and a tablespoon, it's kind of hard to tell depending on how strong you like that tea.
I can't put any more in it because I wouldn't really be able to close it. And I'd have to say I'm not even halfway through that bottle, and every morning I use it, and it's been way past 20 mornings. So that stuff lasts. It's really good.
Yeah. And you bought the Calming the Storm tea. Yeah, to aid with the digestion and the things that you had going on. And it's really just a lovely tea. I use it quite often, especially for bloating. But yeah, if you are constipated, if you do get, a lot of people don't realize that say like you have to go through surgery or you're in the hospital for something, and they put you on any type of opiates or, medications. Those are extremely hard on the system, and almost everybody inevitably gets constipated. So yeah,
So
so
Bear
that
in the
bear in the
Woods.
woods, yeah, bear in the woods works good. And it's funny because you had mentioned, um, the celiac, the husk. Well, this has it in it naturally, so it doesn't get gummy. It's the actual natural form of it. It's on the very bottom of the ingredient, but it does have some of that. But it's got some amazing combination of herbs. And you had looked at his bottle with the calming of the storm. I mean, these herbs are crazy. How many, and the way he blends his tea. I have had several people, like I said, I knew they were going into surgery. They had to have some type of a major surgical, procedure done. Did not, they were like us, don't want to use the pain meds and stuff afterwards, but even just the anesthesia and the med, because they automatically put you on some type of a pain pill as you come out of some major surgery. So it's not a lot of times that you get the option, and a lot of people are like, no, give it to me anyway, and I'll deal with it afterwards. But then you end up, the first thing they want you to do when you leave the hospital is have a bowel movement or go or urinate, that to make sure
Or
everything's functioning right.
or pass gas.
Yeah, something to that extent. Yeah, everything's got to be working. Well, that's the nice thing about, instead of them giving you like the Miralaxes and, all the different stuff, because those almost mess your stomach up. Yeah, they get things moving, but then you turn around and you get heartburn and all the other things that kinds of goes along with it. You have a hard time eating. The nice thing about the Bear in the Woods tea is you don't have to worry about that. That just it's a gentle laxative that gets you moving.
I got to ask you because, my mind is always fiber, movement, fiber,
Right.
movement. What's
Right.
in this tea? What's
Well,
doing
like
it?
I said, it has a celiac. It also has alfalfa and
Okay.
several other. It's got the cat's claw in it. It's got so many different balancing of herbs that really helps just relax the stomach and gets things moving naturally. And it's that natural psyllium husk that really gets you moving. But it's the other combinations that makes it very gentle.
Love
So
it. All right,
yeah.
so let's pick a number of different things that people deal with and then how you would address them. So
Okay.
I was transparent a number of times thinking my ulcer was back. I had it in 2015,
Right.
going through a little bit of stress over the last year, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was back. Got
Right.
scoped late last week and found out that it is gastritis, which
Right.
is not the same as an ulcer, but you get a lot of the same symptoms, and moderate diverticulitis. I didn't even know what that was. I used to hear it like, but from my mom back in the day. Your uncle has diverticulitis. I didn't even know what it was. I had to
Right.
look it up. Long story short, it's like little sacs on your digestive tract where food can get stuck. Blah blah. Um,
Right.
and yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy to know what it is, and it's all good. How would you address that? What would you concoct or make?
Okay. So kind of backing the truck up, we were dealing with, we had kind of been uh using herbs with you that I had recommended for an ulcer. So some of those and it did help. A lot of
And it
that helped.
did help.
It
Yes.
did. And it's because a lot of the herbs that you were taking also helps. I mean, it's just in general, but it helps stomach issues. But like the marshmallow root, which so diverticulitis can cause a lot of acid because it is and can be an infection in the intestine. Some people that have severe diverticulitis, that food gets in there and it gets trapped, and then it can cause a polyp and cause an infection pocket. So sometimes they put you on this really nasty tasting antibiotic. Actually, literally, and they'll tell you everything will taste metallic. You go around and I've had people describe it as chewing on aluminum foil on
Ha-
everything.
haven't gotten there
Ugh,
yet.
right?
Yeah. Can't wait for the follow-up visit next week.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
hopefully in that case we can, get the stuff because the aloe vera that you were drinking for the ulcers to heal the ulcers also went down and started healing into that intestinal wall. So it was doing wonders. The marshmallow root was coating things. The main thing with diverticulitis I have found that helps more than anybody is diet.
Hmm.
Diet is huge with diverticulitis. Um, Anything that does not digest well, that passes through, like corn. Okay, so corn, anything that can get stuck inside of those little polyps that are, that are holes that they I call them polyps, but anyway, these little crevices that doesn't digest can stay in there and cause inflammation, can cause the infection. So peanuts,
Yeah.
a lot, yeah, peanuts,
Seeds.
seeds, anything that does not digest well in the stomach that may pass through the or that is supposed to pass through the intestinal tract, then it could get caught. So that's the thing you wanna look think in. So diet is huge. Anything that is not going to cause that inflammation inside of the intestinal wall.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, so that's 1A. Two, um, I would recommend what's called black seed oil, because black seed oil is really, really good for the stomach lining. And it actually, in my opinion, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's Nigella seed is what it is. It's actually derived from a seed. It has natural, what's called thioquin in it. Thioquin is amazing for the stomach and everything. So it also helps heal. It helps boost the immune system. It with the marshmallow root helps coat. So those are some options for people that do have diverticulitis and other stomach issues. That's just one of the options that you do
Wow.
have. Yeah.
I have to say, Tammie, the uh, remedy that you gave me when I thought it was ulcer, I just want to repeat it again. I feel that's why I feel great today. I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. I'm like, I don't really have any, stomach issues since,
Yeah.
I might even be hesitant to take that antibiotic until something comes back. I don't know. I have to
Right.
talk with the doctor, but whatever.
Right. Well, and I always tell everybody, yeah, recommend go to your doctor. I mean, I'm not a physician. Have I, as a phytotherapist, studied a lot of the things that medical doctors do? Yes, I have. I was required. I studied the skeletal system. I studied the endocrine system. I studied,
Wow.
those are things that as a phytotherapist, we need to know. I mean, granted, we don't put the hours in that a medical physician does, but we do put in over 8,000 hours of time in the books, on top of my background of just hands-on between my mom and my aunties and everything that I did throughout my lifetime. So it was nice to be able to take everything I knew about the plants and put it into also the medical terms and all of the things, and really understanding how the body works and putting these two together. So,
It's almost as if you had a running start,
I did.
and then
I really did.
from your heritage, and then you had the training. So
Yeah.
and where some people might go for training, and they have to kind of figure it out. I'm sure because of your background, it all came together very fast. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that. Then there's that.
It did. It really did. And it was really nice to be able to kind of put that, because it was kind of the missing piece for me, because I understood it and I understood the plants and I understood how it worked on the body, but not clinically, not in
Right.
in depth. And then once I did, boy, it was that huge light bulb that went on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. This is how this cells from this plant works with this cells in this human. and why it works. And that to be able to put that together was so awesome because I knew what these plants could do. I knew it, I watched it, I lived it throughout my entire life. But to understand the science behind it was way cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Like this is not just, well, let me go take some courses. This is your life. and
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you help many with it.
Yeah.
Let's pick another challenge that people go through when it comes
Okay.
to digestion. How about gluten?
Gluten, um, actually, it's interesting because gluten intolerance usually comes from other avenues, not just the stomach. So, a lot of people usually have done the diet and horrible. And they have found out a lot of times gluten intolerance is because you literally have probably ate way too much sugar and too many carbs throughout your lifetime. Somebody who lived off of ice creams and candy bars and things
Wow.
like that. So a lot of times gluten intolerance actually comes from a diet issue. So right out the door, I mean, bottom line, nutrition is huge when it comes to your health. It's not just, oh, let's take these herbs. I always recommend a different diet usually when things go on, which me and you had also talked about about the different things. So a lot of times that gluten intolerance we're finding is it was a poor diet growing up. Some people are born with it, some people do have those issues, but is that being passed on from a mom that carried you and had a poor diet when they carried you?
I never knew. I
Yeah.
never knew that that could be attributed to um, your diet. Previously.
Yes. Yeah. So it can change. Your body can change and become intolerant to certain things because what you've done is you've changed that chemistry. Now, you could have been prone to it. I mean, we have different genes and we have different things where you could be prone to that, but a lot of times, excuse me, you can trigger those things. So obviously, having a gluten intolerance, definitely the best way to deal with that is
Wow.
diet.
Wow.
I have also recommended black seed oil. I've also recommended cat's claw. Cat's claw is another one that is really, really good for that, about rebalancing out. We had done a combination of cat's claw, catnip, and marshmallow root for you because you
Yes.
had thought that it possibly might be an ulcer. You weren't 100% sure. So one of the reasons why I also added the cat's claw in there because I thought, well, we don't have a specific diagnosis. So cat's claw is a real good, safe kind of overall stomach remedy that I have recommended. It does gluten issues like upset stomach type of thing. Cat's claw is in the tea that you drink. It'll do Crohn's disease. It'll do colitis issues.
Wow.
So I kind of did a broad spectrum because we weren't sure. I knew that you were I treated some of the symptoms, but by giving you also the cat's claw, I was trying to also give you something that was going to be a broad spectrum across the board. That it's like, okay, don't know 100% sure. Now we know, now we can move forward in a totally different avenue. So,
It's interesting. I've talked to people, and I always talk about you. It's like this, you got to do this. You got to try this. I mentioned some of the ingredients, like even marshmallow root. And I've had medical professionals, doctors and nurses even say, yeah, that is definitely reasonable. You should be that should be part of your diet. After
yeah.
I told them that I was that was in the bottle that you sent me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because the medical field is really starting to take a good look at the traditional medicines, not just, all prescription drugs. So the cancer industry is, we've mentioned in the past, I think are probably the most open because they're literally like, okay, whatever it takes, let's see what we can do because we're wanting to really help these people, cure these patients, at least the majority of them are.
Right.
So I've worked with a lot of different physicians. I have several different women right now that are using chemotherapy and herbal supplements together and are finding a balance between that. So, unfortunately, these are older women and they are, dealing with some pretty severe cancer issues. I can't go into details, for privacy. I mean, I'm adhered to the same HIPAA and everything, but they are using, one of them chose one avenue, of trying the chemo again because it was a reoccurrence and herbal supplements. And then the other one decided she was on it, decided she had a relapse and she is not doing it. So right now it's interesting. They both are stable. So, we're fighting, we're battling, but they're actually doing fairly decent, feeling fairly good. We don't have any real major issues coming up, so right now we're status quo. So there is a balance between, and I love that doctors are recognizing, and most
Absolutely.
places they'll be like, well, okay, if you ask your physician, okay, well, I'm taking this and can I take this while I'm taking this other medication? They're getting more prevalent in that. And a lot of them actually have a website that you can go to and go to this website and see if it's one that we're going to recommend, that you can use it or not. So I've dealt with that too. So it just depends on where you are and what, if your physician is on board. They only take about 400 hours of herbology in any of their studies. That's it, 400 hours. I was actually told that by an oncologist.
Wow.
He looked at me and says, you're the expert on this. Can you reproduce this phytotherapy? And I did. It was a 25 herb phytotherapy to assist with a glioblastoma. And immunotherapy, which was a drug called Avastin, or the generic form is called Imbazi. I actually watched it reduce a glioblastoma tumor by 50%. Blew the oncologist's mind away.
Wow. Is it true that medicine, not even that far back, I'm not talking 100 years, maybe even like 50 years, it was coming from plants. And then eventually with technology, we duplicated that synthetically, but it all started with the plant.
It did. Yeah. They have figured out how to, the bottom line was it was derived a lot from plants, roots, bark, trees. Oh yeah. They had to learn it from somewhere, and I mean, it's started out there and then, because of science and everything, then they've turned around and they've derived it and some of the same components, but they just remake it synthetically in a lab now. And put it in a little pill.
I'd rather take Tammie's tincture.
Thank you. Me too. Because the side effects are not even remotely close.
Well, there's that.
To what you're going to get. Yeah.
Final question.
Yeah. Have you ever watched some of those commercials? Oh, let's do this for diabetes. But yet, and then they list this hodgepodge of side effects, including death, so it's I want to jump on that right now, and take that.
That is the source of great anxiety for me, and I'm sure lots of other people. Just sitting there, you're waiting for your show to come back on. Oh, stop. Oh, can't. Question for you. Final question.
Okay.
And I'm looking over here because somebody suggested this, and indium. Have you ever heard of indium?
I haven't done a lot of research on it. There's a lot of stuff out there that you get and there's a ton of it. Now, indium actually comes from Eastern area. So, and you had picked it up. What were you recommended it? What was it recommended for? So I want to make sure that they did the correct.
Okay. It was to your minerals, to increase the minerals or bring back minerals in your body to help them better absorb. That's what it would be.
Yes, there you go. Okay.
So I don't know if it's herbal. I don't know if it started herbal and now it's not. It's like, one drop will do you. kind of thing? One drop a day?
It depends. I don't know. It depends on how it was derived.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of those where they've turned around. I know we've talked about kratom, we've talked about different, things, and there's some things I just don't endorse. But there are thousands, tens of thousands of different plants and different things. Anything synthetic, you kind of want to get away from because
Sure.
it's not. The body, just bottom line, does not absorb it well. It doesn't break it down well. If it's synthetic or, anything that's not natural, our body has a tendency to fight against because it's a foreign substance. It's really kind of common sense, but a lot of people don't understand
Oh,
that.
totally. And that also includes our food supply. We're not synthetic. Right. Why would you give your body stuff that's synthetic? You have so much knowledge. It's amazing. There's nobody like you. There really isn't.
Thank you.
When it comes to the herbals, your website, easy to remember, Oyate Herbals, and that's Oyate Herbals.com. Aside from your knowledge, aside from what you offer, you're available. So if somebody has a question, for me, that's the best part. It's like, help, what do you got? And
right.
I'm such a regular credit card is on file. Like, I don't even just hit my credit card again and send me a receipt, which I don't even ask for the receipt. You just send it.
No, you're like, I've got, I have that on file. I have your address on file. You're like, hey, Tam, we need this. And I'm like, got you covered. No problem.
Yep.
Yeah. It's super simple, but I got a little bit of everything for anybody that needs whatever it is. And please reach out, because it's nice. And I may recommend, go see your physician, then call me because I'm not a medical doctor and we've been waiting for this diagnosis. So, okay, now we got it. Now we can really move forward. And that's what makes it nice is because unless I absolutely know, it's kind of hard. But I'm going to bridge that gap. I'm going to bridge that gap between, the medical world and the traditional medicine world. And if we can do this, there's a very good possibility that I could reduce all of Big Pharma's big money and we could actually start living healthier and happier the way we were designed to live in life.
Without side effects.
Yeah. What a concept, right? I'm working on it. I'm one person, but that's why we do these podcasts. That's why I get that information out there, because one day somebody's going to call me and go, Tammie, I need your help. And it's going to be a miracle for them. So,
yeah. Well, you're my miracle
just making
worker.
that call,
Exactly.
Yeah.
OyateHerbals.com. Tammie, always great talking with you. Totally appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.